You are listening to 15 Minutes, the show with Osiris Munir, only on LA Talk Radio.
Hey everybody, it's Osiris. We are back from last Thursday. I know it's been a hell of a week out there. Elections going on. There's wars ravaging on the planet as we speak. So during this time, I'd like to encourage you to vote for humanity, not insanity. And let's try to pick a leader that's going to promote peace, love, and harmony. We need so much more of that than anything else, I would think, on the planet right now. And do your best to follow your heart and make it a better world out there by voting. So now, to my most special part of the show, I get to introduce the guest. And they know I like to do it live, and they know I like to bring like some kick-ass people in here, okay? So guess who we have today? It's all about the women today, let me tell you. I am sitting in front of the artistic director for the Imagine Theater and the playwright, famed, acclaimed people, June Carroll, right in front of my very eyes here. So let me just give you a little brief rundown, and I'm gonna let the girls take it over, okay? So the name of the play is called The Girl Who Made the Milky Way. How cute is that? And then it's based on, I believe it's pronounced Koshin myth Koshin myth of a young girl played by Stakaya Lynn Washington. They call her little sister in the play. And it is all about her kind of coming into her own, kind of escaping the family, the tribe, whatever the routine is, and coming to her home, her own, discovering self, her own independence, her uniqueness, her own voice, and that sort of thing. It is a 5 performance cycle, I believe, presenting it to both boys and girls. It is also running from November 9 through November 17 in collaboration. The Burbank Colony Theater and the Imagine Theater have collaborated on this. So I'm going to let the ladies take it over and take it away. Hey, welcome.
Thank you for having us.
You are so welcome for being here. So first of all, explain to everybody what Koshin is.
You want to do it? Sure. Koshin, it is a tribe, collection of tribes, original peoples, I would say, in Southern Africa, specifically nomadic and pastoral. They're hunters and gatherers. They live as far from modernity as humanly possible by choice. The vibe, for lack of a better word, is not healthy to them, and so they have preserved so much of their culture and their languages and stories, oral history.
Even to this day in 2024, and I read a little bit. They are South African in tribal cultural beliefs, right? South African. Mm-hmm. And so, why this theme? Why did you choose? Again, the girl who made the Milky Way. Why did you choose this particular theme about a young girl? And I might add, everybody, I found it interesting that each play I read that is presented by the Imagine Theater, the female plays the protagonist. So I wanted to go from that to why you chose me.
Yes. I'll answer your first question.
Yeah.
First, I guess the reason we chose to tell this Koshin myth as to give it life in a new play for that is relevant to young audiences today is actually it's a little bit of a selfish reason.
Why?
I'll tell you why. So as I was I'm always gathering new stories to see what is unique enough that could jar our audiences out of complacency and inspire them to aspire, and to see what folklore, what fairy tales we could use. And at the risk of embarrassing myself,
Well,
So
go.
cool.
I'm a-
It's
so-
cool.
I want to hear.
all right, so this, so
We
I'm
wanna
a
hear.
hardcore trekker. I'm a big Star Trek fan.
Me too. I swear. I know everyone. Don't get me going. Don't start me, girl.
I won't compete with you. I will only tell you that I was watching an episode of Star Trek Discovery, and the
Mhm.
protagonist there was telling a story about a Kosen myth, about a girl who invents the stars. And I just, at that moment, I studied astrophysics in college for a brief moment, and my love of astronomy and theater just
Sisters.
came together.
Mhm.
And I knew what story I had to tell. I went, I researched, found out it was a real story.
Really?
It was
Yeah,
a real
is,
myth from the
honestly.
Kosen people. And the moment I mean, it was immediate. I
Now,
figured it out. I called you. That's how that partnership started.
Did you happen to go to South Africa?
Oh, I wish
Hmm.
I'll be able to afford that one day. Not yet.
Okay, but you haven't been there. But you know
No.
people that are connected to there enough, and you did your research enough to tie it in together.
Oh yes, and also of course June is the
June.
playwright.
Mhm.
So I gave the theme, and I was like, all right, we have the budget for
Right.
6 actors. You can have as many characters as you want, but we can only give you 6 actors. So go. And then of course June created the girl who made the Milky Way, and yes, we are focused on female protagonists.
So she took your love again to see how you try. They say you attract people that are like-minded. I love astronomy and all this stuff. Astrology, I'm into all of that. I love all of that. I think it's interesting, and it takes away from the normal. You're black, you're white, you're this, you're that, you're another. Even though people do say you're this, you're a can't, or whatever, but the truth about astrology and astronomy, both of those subjects, they are very, very deep. They're like layers of an onion. It's not just one surface thing. So you really can't pinpoint people and say you're this or that. You do have to know a little
For
bit
sure.
about more people, where they come from, who raised them, or all that kind of thing. But back to what we were talking about why you chose to write around her love of astrophysics, and then she saw that Star Trek episode, and there you go, and then you're like, wow.
Yeah, I mean, it was
What
brilliant.
happened?
It was brilliant. It
Yeah.
just, Armina just, I think you called me, right?
Mhm.
Oh, so you
and-
knew her already?
Oh yes, we had
Yeah.
worked
Oh, okay,
together
you're
already.
friends.
we worked
Okay.
together, and she called me up and she said, "So I have," and it's really cute. She said, "So I have this idea, and I wonder, how would you feel about?" And I already knew that I wanted to work with Armina on something, anything, because I think she's brilliant. And
I love
I think before she'd even finished the sentence, in my head I was like, yes.
Yeah.
I let her finish the sentence. Yes, just yes. And then, in getting to dig into the story, I was so glad I'd said yes, because it's a really beautiful collection. There was a beautiful collection of stories, origin stories, and very empowering stories about girls and women.
So let's talk about that. Let's
Yeah.
get into talking about those now. Which leads me into some of my other questions. Was Little Sister. Now, is it a male-dominated society? Are the girls allowed to be free thinkers? Because some societies really appreciate unbeknown as free-thinking women or
Mhm.
free-thinking people in general. So, what did you pull from that culture that would be true and authentic to who Little Sister was?
There is there is a recognition of feminine power. It's not necessarily, pick up arms and, storm the gates or anything.
Like
But
Joan of Arc?
there is a power in the female voice that just continues to reappear in these stories, in women and girls' ability to affect the world around them, and in a magical way that I think for me was just so powerful and so beautiful. There's like one myth about a girl who turns lions into stars.
Wow. Is this within the
This is within the Kosan,
Coastal Myth? So they
myth.
probably just got so many. So I probably just like would never come home if I ever met people.
Yeah.
They probably got stories upon stories.
Story after story after story. And it's not that there is the masculine is better or lesser than the feminine.
Yeah.
There is just a recognition of feminine power that you cannot deny. That is just so empowering. Yeah.
You know, and we're world creators. We birth people. Even if you're a woman that haven't birthed, trust me, you birthed some personality. You birthed some person. Or you've given life and helped bring clarity, nurturing, sensitivity to someone out there. That's because that's what women do. So let's get more into little sister. How does she get out of the situation enough to discover her own uniqueness? And we want you to go see the play, so we're not going to divulge any of the real intricate details of the play. Where we want to talk more about the process of, you know, discovery. How did you write it in a way to, you know, how did you have her leaving? You know, because the play is visual. So by the time you listen to the interview and then see the play, hey, you're going to be blown. It's over.
And I have to say, when you see the play, what Armina has done, I'd written the thing, and I just sort of I nearly cried watching a rehearsal of it because it was just so mad. And someone commented after, your mouth was just hanging open, and it was like, if I wasn't on the verge of tears, I was just like so stunned by what Armina has done. Basically, a little sister loses something and is just determined to get it back. And
period.
she's gonna get
no
it
matter
back.
What the obstacles, what the blocks, period.
Yeah.
She's made up her mind. You know how a woman is, it makes up her mind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you know, she has some friends who, you know, they realize, okay, she's going to go, so we'd better go with her. And
so she's not alone. Oh, well, that brings an interesting thing. Now, how she's clearly the main character. I think you'll find this interesting, people up there. They use the archetypal characters of trees, animals, mountains, and spirits. So, I mean, come on. Tell them what that must be like using that, especially with children.
Well, it's the ultimate whimsy, isn't it? Because we can do things on the stage that are incredibly magical. This production doesn't have puppets, but there are other productions that have puppets. And puppets are special because if two puppets kiss on stage or hold hands or touch each other, it's much more majestic, right?
Yes.
So we get to tell stories. We as storytellers get to tell stories in the theater. And the way that we tell that story can impact these kids forever. And one of the reasons why I fell in love with this play, I was telling June, I didn't know I was going to direct it. We commissioned June to write it, and I thought she would bring on a director. So I fell in love once she wrote. I'm a big fan of Joseph Campbell, and I really love mythology. And for me, when I read her play and to see that mythology renewed for today's young audience was really special to me, and I really fell in love with that. And the idea that these kids are going to know that they're spirits, that there is an idea of eternity, you know, that
something that goes on.
That's correct, and something that that we've been around for a really long time, and that we owe something to the people from whom we came, and that we owe something to the people who shall come after.
That's right.
And that's one of the reasons I really, really love this play, and I really wanted to tell this story. And I hope your viewers will bring their children and have a conversation with them about it afterward. You know, because the experience of theater, it can't just end with the curtain. It has to continue at home. The parents, the guardians, the educators, they have to have that conversation with the kids so that the impact is everlasting, you know. But yeah, so I'm deeply in love with the play. I'm deeply in love with mythology, just separately as Armina. So for me, when these two came together, they came together. And I am incredibly proud and honored that you entrusted me with the stories.
I mean, it's you have to see it to experience the wonder that she conjures. You're a conjurer. And, you know, it
Look
was
at
very funny
that.
when, you know, when she asked,
She
you know,
kind.
who, you know, if I wanted to think of a director, I, you know, in the back of my head was like,
Mm-hmm.
I already know the director. It's you. Because I'd seen her Warrior Queen, and I just was Warrior Princess.
Warrior Queen.
No, Warrior Queen. I got it right.
You're right.
Mhm.
And
Trust yourself.
I just, there was just that after that, it was, well, it has to be her. It has to be Armina.
Well, you know, I think too, we as women, when we're good emotionally, all of those things can bring feeling and fulfill life and fill up space with energy and creativity and process. So when you're thinking about writing and you're thinking about directing, um, what what are some of the things that come to mind to take you day? I mean, I always envision myself, this is just me, you know, the old, very dramatic, you know, walking across the balcony at the back, thinking of my next new novel and how my husband has broken my heart, and how I'm going to write about this. And of course, it has to be a play, you know, and things like that. So I imagine that your process has some drama to it, where you have to actually, you know, well, who I'm going to have in it, and what do I want them to talk about? What can you talk about that?
Yes, actually, my process differs greatly from that. I don't envision anyone in a role because I love auditions. I love auditioning people.
Mhm.
And just like Patrick Stewart said, you know, every person who walks into that room, I cheer for them to be the
Yes.
answer to my casting problem, you know? So
That's a good one.
I want them to be
That person.
that storyteller who is going to breathe life to the character and take it to a new world, a new dimension that I can't even fathom, you know, because I'm a big believer in collaboration in the room as a theater professional. I guess I'm a follower of William Ball from ACT, but I really look at it as a collaboration between everybody. It just makes
You're a
us
team
stronger.
player.
I'm a team player.
Yeah.
I really enjoy depending on. I didn't give. I just
Yeah.
told her this is the myth. Go. I didn't want to impose anything else except I just said we can only afford 6 actors. That was my only thing. That was my only
cool.
thing.
What
But
is the budget
yeah.
really? I mean, do they give you a? I'm afraid to ask. We had a Greg. We had another director over here. He's a director of piano lesson.
Oh, yes,
Pequeño.
great, yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So we had him over, and so he explained a little bit about budget and all of that. So I didn't know. I mean, for some reason, I feel that the budget should be more into that than into some of the other things that we spend money on. Like, what are you thinking about? This is live. Come on, people. This is what makes character and builds individual people to not to go out and be robbers and killers and thieves and all of that thing, you know? Why wouldn't you want to put money into that?
Can I say? June knows that I want to talk about
Yeah,
this. May I talk about this?
Yeah.
So,
I'm bringing it up.
so not just Imagine Theater. This is universal
Across the
across
board.
the nation right now,
Mhm.
right? So we're going through a reckoning. So even before COVID, we were built on a house of cards. The way that we did business was not sustainable in any way. So what COVID did is it exposed that. It exposed this, and it took the carpet from underneath like the feet of all the theaters, you know. And now we have to come up. Well, first we have to find our leaders, our new leaders, you know, the way Zelda was for us before, Zelda Fichandler. We now have to find our new leaders who are going to create a new model going forward that will create sustainable performing arts. We do not have that right now. Imagine Theater, we don't know if we will be around
In another year.
That's correct. We just don't know. One of the biggest reasons for that is because philanthropy has fundamentally changed, whether it's corporate, foundational, or individual, which has simply disappeared. Individual giving has just disappeared.
Really?
So, I mean, it used to be like 2/3 of giving in the
Of
arts
giving
wasn't
was-
it
yeah.
from individuals like us
Yes.
to other organizations, and that
They
has
cared.
and that is no longer it doesn't exist anymore. So what do we do? How do we go forward? How does Imagine go forward? You know, we are an equity house, so we're a union theater. I am incredibly proud of that. I'm myself a union artist, as is
unions,
June.
yes.
And one of the reasons why Imagine was founded was to be a home for artists and to pay artists. It's, you know, separately, that's a big thing for me. I'm a huge advocate for paying artists. And
No, I am too. I
and
don't think
stopping.
anyone should do anything for free, even a child.
That's correct.
Give here, here's 50 cents or $1, go in there and put it in your little piggy bank and consider yourself starting your account.
Absolutely. We don't teach kids about money. So,
Yeah.
but that's a whole different subject. But yes, so I am, you know, I don't know how to help my own industry, my own vocation to come together and create a new path forward for the live arts, because there is no real, and I know some people may disagree with me about this, but especially in Los Angeles, we don't have leadership. We don't have communal leadership that takes care of LA theater. We don't have any arts organizations that champion us, that unite us, that advocate for us, both with local municipalities, the state, and the country. So what is the path forward? I don't know. You know, the work that we do, Imagine is California's only equity theater dedicated entirely to programming for young audiences. This is sad.
Wow.
This is
Are
sad.
you kidding?
It
The
is
whole
sad.
state of California.
Yes, it is
Get out
sad.
of California, we need to be.
So
need to
we
be
so
shocked.
we need people. We need people to be our advocates, our ambassadors, our board members, our advisory board members, and just to pitch in. Not just Imagine. I'm talking about everybody. There are great theater companies in Los Angeles that need our community to step up, you know, to be there for us and to help us in this transitional and very dangerous period for the performing
What do
arts.
you and in electing? Not saying anything about candidates. I'm talking in electing in terms of these kind of proposals. What do you think we should do? How is there a way to use technology? Can we start streaming live theater into people's homes? Charge a paid subscription like everybody else does? Why can't we do that?
I think it depends. Okay, so I'm old-fashioned. I come from Soviet Union, so I'm a little old-fashioned in my
Yeah,
artistic
the
thinking.
Soviet Union,
But it's, for me, it's live theater. This is why I don't even think we should have online classes for any theater classes, right? So
That's what I
this,
wanted to
we're the live arts.
Right.
We're the live arts.
You don't want
You
them
can't
to.
have we're not mediated. If we're mediated, we're not theater
not
anymore.
theater.
That's right. Got you.
Yes,
Got
you know, if the audience and the performer are not in the same space, if they don't occupy
It's
the
not
same,
theater.
it's not theater.
Can we do both?
Of course we can.
Is there a way to, I'm just thinking here, I love technology. And I try to think, you know, the ways to help, you know. Can we do both? Is there a way that the theaters could partner with some of the film companies and have live theater streamed into a live theater forum?
You
Where
know,
just
maybe
like a
June can
just
answer
like
this
a
better 'cause
live-
she
just
works
like
in
a
film
live
too.
show you do with music talent, where it's live. They have to have there with the band and everything else. So you're doing streaming on the big screen while the actual performance is going on simultaneously.
well, you know, I think the partnership aspect makes sense. It does, I think, behoove entertainment to, number one, because it is recycling stories anyway. It does behoove the funded entertainment channels to look to and support live theater. I would stop there though, only because, as Armina says, it is, while it is amazing to get to watch Andrew Scott do his Uncle Vanya, to see the rebroadcast of it, it's no longer theater. It's
not
become
live
film.
anymore. It's
And
become
so
film. Oh.
if there's
Mhm.
anything, I would beg those who have the means to look into supporting theater, but maintaining the form,
the integrity of it.
the integrity of it, and remembering and honoring the process by which theater happens. Because the challenge becomes, well, if I'm going to give you money, you're going to give me what I
Something.
want. And for theater to be asked to cater to what the big dollar person wants is, I think, partly how we've gotten here in the past. Because suddenly, if you look at the Broadway model, it's got to be bigger, it's got to be more expensive, and it's got to be shinier and brighter, and audiences are getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller.
Very
and
much
smaller.
more intimate.
Because because you've lost touch with the thing that makes theater special.
I went to the Tupac thing, and this was a tour of the museum.
Fascinating.
And it was beautiful.
It's
and
gorgeous.
We covered it, but it wasn't what I was thinking of is the concept is that they didn't stream. But within the museum, they made everything live. So that you had to be there to see it. But they didn't put it on the networks or anything like that. They did it like a tour. Now I was asking Greg the same thing. Now I'm from the old school. Doesn't matter. I'm from the old school. Just listen to me very carefully. There was something called the Chitlin Circuit. I don't understand why people can't do the Chitlin Circuit, where you literally take your small theater, take as many as you can, like they break down a music group. Okay, we're not going to take all 16. We're only going to take 6 of y'all. Which 6 want to go? Who many can afford to go? But we going to pay it, whatever. Take them right to the next theater production. Then when they're done there, take them into San Francisco, take them into Oakland. What's wrong with that? I don't understand. Why is there a problem? Go back and get in your vans and your cars like they used to do on the road before they had, the musicians used tour buses. Get a bus. And whatever. Go back to some of the things.
You have to have venues.
You do have to have venues, but if you don't have a venue, use somebody's backyard. Use some stuff like that. I'm talking about things that I've seen that people used to do before they got all modern and started charging you guys for services that used to be just free. To open up your own house, to have a music thing, have your friends come there and beat the metal or whatever they were doing, kick the drum, and do some kind of live thing back there. We used to do theater in our home all the time, in the living room, with our parents not there.
There are creative ways to reproduce the theater experience that I've seen and I've heard of that do work, and I don't believe, and I believe that we're never going to stop telling stories. No. You're never going to top the theater experience of telling stories. Right. It's about will and the willingness to forgo the shiny object. It's about the willingness to just sit in a room and tell the story and remember the value of that. And I think it's there, but we're pricing ourselves out of existence. That's a big thing. So theaters are shutting down all over the place. And I don't know.
Are there as many interests? What's the going entertainment now for the young, the millennials, the Gen Zs, the Gen Xs, the RXs, the GT2, X3, 4, 5, that 2, whatever y'all going to call yourself in another 10 years. What is that? How, are they supporting theater? I think that's where we want to go, is get their minds interested, because all the old people eventually going to be topsoil. But it's the kids that are coming up that you want to remind that there is this there's this living, breathing thing on earth called the theater, where people actually express real personality.
Well, there is a hunger, because we have public performances on weekends, but we also, during the weekday, we have student matinees where the schools come with buses, they bring the kids and they see it. And, I always do the pre-show speech for student matinees, and I always ask the kids, raise your hand. How many of you have been to the theater before? And on average, 80% have not. So 80%. So we specifically curate and create work for elementary school kids, the K through 5. That is our demographic, right? So, and yes, so it is a sad number. It is an incredibly sad number, but I don't think we should be surprised if two parents have to work and then it's hard for them to buy groceries for the week. They're not going to spend that $20, $30, and that's a low end, to buy a theater ticket. It's not going to happen. I mean, it was always my dream. Imagine would be free, or like $5. You just pay, you get in. But that's not the reality. I'm also a business, right? Mm-hmm. So we often forget that we're also a business.
We have to be.
So yeah.
But making theater affordable again, I think, does feed a hunger that does exist. Young people do want to see theater. I know, because I get to talk to kids, after
love
shows, and they're transported. They know
They
the
are.
magic of it.
Yeah,
And
it's magical.
but I think somehow we have to find a way to incentivize making it affordable again, to actually do it, so that you don't have to pass the cost on to your ideal consumer. I don't know what that is. I keep looking at film and TV, because there are dollars there. Even those models are changing, though. Because
Well, there are dollars in partnering with people like Smart and Final. There are dollars in a lot of ways. It's a lot. I'm telling you, from somebody that once was not always able to sustain my own life, and I had to go through lots of interesting experiences in order to be the person sitting here talking to you today. I found that there are so many resources in the community that people don't know about unless you're starving, unless you're on the streets and homeless. You're never going to know about them because you don't need them. But they are there. I'm here to tell you they're there. They have all kind of Smart and Final will partner with people. When we did some community things, Ralph's, a lot of them are dying, but they don't know. There's no one on their staff that even knows about theater to even say, man, you guys heard about the little production in there. I've got 5 kids. I'd love them to go down there. It's around the corner from my aunt who lives in Burbank or off of Burbank and whatever. They just don't know. So, some of the griots are gone. We used to have people in the community that would spread the word, post on the, still do some of the old things, posted on the telephone poles. And that's how we used to get the word out. And it would be a lot of people would show. But a lot of people don't know. There are people that live right around the corner from the theater and don't even know it's there. I swear. Tell me I'm wrong.
100%.
Tell me I'm wrong.
You're not wrong.
Don't even know the theaters that live right around the corner.
You're not wrong.
Wow, oh my gosh, do you ever come out of your home? What's going on here?
I mean, we have to normalize theater again. It used to be, you sat around, before there was theater, you sat around the fire and you listened to a story.
Yeah.
Then television came along. You sat around the television, you listened to a story. But you could also do that magical thing where you could go out and see a show on a big screen. But then you could also do that thing where you'd go sit in a theater and people would talk, and they were live and right in front of you, and it was affordable. I think I think it has to do with affordability. I'm not sure, but we've taught ourselves that theater is for the effete. Theater is for the wealthy.
It's not.
It shouldn't be.
That's why I was joking when I said, I envisioned, some wealth, and you have your hand against, I'm going to write my novel because my uncle owns the theater and that kind of thing. I'm being facetious,
right,
and describing people with a lot of money that can afford the theater. But you're talking about community kids that don't probably, have $5 in their pocket. Those are the kids we need to train how to save your little money. Take 25 cents every week. It will eventually save up to $17, $20. I'm telling you, I've done it. Save up your money, and then you can afford a theater ticket and take your little friend around there. Have your parents, look, Mom, me and we sold peanut butter sandwiches or crackers or whatever, went door to door on Halloween. Stick one of your theater tickets in that little basket. Say, here, put one little ticket in that little Halloween basket and say, look, here's a theater ticket. Thanks for giving us candy. So people can know who you are. I am just one of those people because, like I said, I've had experiences that I've had to really think quick on my feet and think about how to survive. I had 2 kids on my hips, and didn't have anywhere to go. I didn't have an uncle to call or anybody. I'm just like, okay, it's me and you, I and I, like they say in the Rasta, where it's I and I. That's all I could call on, my Buddhist practice, and whoever else, when you have your faith, whatever that, you are believing in, you call on those things. So I think I would think that theater has to find other ways to be creative. And we have to think, a lot of us, have gotten lazy. I know I don't feel like going and doing too much like I used to do, but back in the day, people would get out and post things on a telephone pole, ring up people in the community. Hey, there's a play going around the corner. Don't you have 5 kids? Let's get together. I'll put in 10. You put in 15. How many kids can we go? I know this because I have friends that live in other places outside of LA, like Ohio and Kentucky and Idaho, and those real small areas where people are still they do humanity kind of things where the community comes together to support somebody. And yeah, they charge money, but nobody has a problem with somebody calling up somebody's parents saying, look, the weekend is coming up. What are you guys doing? Let's all go hang out at the theater.
But it's not a cultural tradition here.
Right.
I know.
So this is what we're battling. It's not so much that we're battling that they know and they choose not to go. Yes, there is that echelon of society. But what we're battling with is that it is not part of childhood. So as you choose to become a parent, you become a parent, and then you say, I want my kid to go to school. I want my kid to take piano. The idea that when they turn 3 years old, 4 years old, or even some theaters have programming that is younger. I believe Pasadena Playhouse is now developing that program. If the parent didn't grow up with it, the parent cannot. From where would that parent then instill that habit of going to the theater? And that's why we decided to focus on elementary school, because we were hoping.
You think there's a need? There is a guy named Bobby Riley. Bobby uses art to inspire kids to do their school curriculum. He loves to partner with people. I would love to put you guys in touch with some people I know that are doing similar things, and they all need to partner and come together, and they love collaborating with people, whether in their areas or outside their areas. He's in Virginia. And so I'll get that information to you. And then, there are all kinds of other organizations. Like I said, you always wonder, like, why do you know many people that you don't necessarily need, but then you meet people you're like, oh, wow, maybe that's why you know that person or whatever, to put them in contact with people like you, which leads us back to your play, The Girl That Made the Milky Way. So when the kids come in, you just saw the first run, you'd never seen it, so you were blown away. What are they? What should they expect when they walk through the door? And what can you give them to take home to maybe inspire a parent to come and see it? I mean, get the kids so worked up and like, Mom, you got to go see it. Mom, we got to take cousin blah 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 to go see it. What talk to us?
When they walk in, one of the things that Imagine has committed to is production value. So we want the kids to walk in, and in this particular instance, they're going to see a gigantic, beautiful tree on stage that is going to serve many purposes in the play. And I hope that the moment that they walk in, they will be in awe, that they will feel the majesty of the theater at that moment, and that they will sit down, and that they will, just like Boston Court says, come to the edge of their seat. Boston Court Theater says that. I love that they say that. Come to the edge of their seat and go on a journey with us. And it is our promise to them that our stories will be relevant for them, that they will be essential for them, that they will help them in their life, that these stories will inspire. There is room for all kinds of art. This is why art is so wonderful. There's room for this kind of art and this kind of art. Yes, and just at Imagine, as June knows, because she's seen our work, our commitment is very specific. We want our stories to make these to help make these young civilians, to inspire them to be a better part of the community. So it's not just theater. So
I really feel, because art is such a big focus right now in this world, I believe that we're working ourselves back around. We're going to work ourselves back around, because now art is a profession. Whereas if you wanted to be an artist back in somewhere in the, when artists like Van Gogh or some of those people thought you were crazy. Are you kidding? Why do you think they were in such torment? Because they weren't allowed to express themselves as an artist. It was shunned. It wasn't like what you would send a child to school for, unless they showed exceptional prowess or skill, and that kind of thing. But most people were like advised, go be something you can make some money off or whatever. So I think that's going to come back round. And when you are, because you bring it into elementary schools, which some people I'm going to hook you up with find fascinating, because you bring it into elementary schools. And it's not saying that anybody else can't watch it. I'm a big kid, so I definitely be trying to watch. But if you bring it in elementary schools, what is it about elementary schools that's different from the middle schools, that's different from high schools? Is it written specifically for that age group, or is it written in a way that anybody could watch it and get something out of it, or both, or all of that?
Well, I mean, the way I keep going back to this, the way Armina has done it, anyone can watch it. The aim is to make it
Universal,
accessible to any number of ages, for the very young.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not. But I hope don't talk down to younger kids, because kids pick up and understand much more than we appreciate or recognize. And so I think that we talk in a way that kids will get. But if you're a big kid, I think you will also, particularly the way it's been directed and the way these actors are creating these roles, there's something for everyone.
There is, because I can definitely tell you that there is a 15-year-old child somewhere that is going through exactly the same thing that an 8-year-old, maybe young girl would be going through.
And I think it's wonder.
I'm telling
Wonder
you,
is the thing.
you can put them together and they would be not in the same way, or the process might be different, but the emotional thing is still there. That's why young people have a hard time. Some of them have a hard time coping. They haven't been allowed to, and I think theater is one of the ways to help them escape or get out of themselves and bring that expression out when they're young. But like you said, if the parents don't have any kind of understanding of that, they're not able to artistically. But in today's time, with so much focus going into the arts, I think that's going to change. I'm telling you, I believe it. I'm giving you my premonition.
From your lips to Dionysus' ears.
Yeah.
It's going to change. It's going to have to. We have nowhere to go. We're so overridden with evil and crime and hate and greed and anger and all that stuff. We have nowhere to go but back to the source. We have nowhere to go. Otherwise, we'll extinguish ourselves as a humanity. So at some point, we're going to have to go back and find hearts. The hearts are going to have to be rediscovered. I'm sure there are a lot of them buried out there somewhere. We just have to touch them.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that there is a way to do that. I mean, I'd like anybody out there, if you have anything, any way you want to help support theaters, you have any ideas, you can even go to the city town hall, talk to the governor, about these things. It gives kids in the community something to do. It gives these beautiful women a way to create and be expressive in their own ways, directing and writing. And so I believe that there's a way that we can support in any way that we find possible. So anything else you want to say about The Girl Who Made the Milky Way? Oh, I want to ask one more question. How do the actors interact? How do they get along? And how long is the play?
They are
they have to stay
professional storytellers who value collaboration, just like I do.
Okay.
And when I say casting is 80% of success, they're really not lying. I surrounded myself. I'm very fortunate with my co-producer Gabby. We did handle casting together,
Mm-hmm.
Gabby Grigo, and I'm just going to say we have an amazing cast who bring complexity, who bring depth, who bring empathy, compassion, and whimsy, and magic, and wonder, just
All the things
which
that
also
we-
comes from June's words, which are incredibly poetic and melodic.
Is this a book as well?
I think it should be. I think
Could
June should
be.
look
Why
into it.
I don't
Make it a
understand
book.
why it can't be a book.
We could make it a book.
June,
We
come
could.
on.
Yeah.
We could be giving those,
We could.
having those marketing.
We could. June, I think that's in your future.
Yeah.
I think that's in your future.
Have a little. They used to be back in the record label days, you guys. They used to have the CD cases,
Right, the CD case
that
with
you
the
would
showcase with the
open,
Mhm.
and it'd be a little CD thing in there. Not too much, just a teaser, just
Oh, yeah.
enough to get them to come in the theater.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
telling
yeah.
you, girl, you better write a book. I saw it. I saw the book. Like, I don't understand why is it not a book?
Your mission should you
Okay,
choose to accept it.
It's a book. You can feel the book.
That's a great idea.
So anything else you guys want to say? We're almost till the end. I have to go. We get at like 1:45. We have to start ending. So by 10 of the next host gets to come in, so we can't hog.
June and I invite you and your family to come to the live theater, and we ask you to visit our social media sites and to share the poster for the show.
What are your tags?
Oh, it's Imagine Theater CA for
Imagine
California.
Theater CA for California, yeah.
That, yes. And
you ladies separately IGs?
oh, sure. Armina Lamana.
June Carroll, one word. All
And
lowercase.
Carol is Carryl, you guys, not Carroll like
Right.
Lewis Carroll. Okay. We got a cool Carol. I love that. So what can we expect from you in the future, Miss June and Miss Armina?
Oh gosh, no, I think the book.
Yeah.
That's what's coming in the future.
I'm telling you, it's a book. That is a book. It's a book. You can see the book. I mean, you can easily see the book.
Oh, I see the book in my head.
I
Absolutely.
see it. I see it, especially the way they did. Let me hold this up. Can you guys see the picture here? See? Can you see that? I hope you can see. It is right in front of the camera, I believe. Look at that. Is that some mad art, man, or what? Come on now. Come on, put your money where your mouth is. That is so cool. That's what struck me. And, the colors and, all the things that go into art, that's what drew me in. Just like, wow. I really wish they could do like they do back in the day where they'd have, people that are busy and they have nothing to do late at night. You get to go to the theater at like the 12 at midnight theater like they used to do on the Rocky Horror Show.
Oh, yes.
Oh my gosh, you go in there late at night. Come on. And you have to,
Oh, yeah, with tomatoes, right?
Yeah.
With tomatoes.
So much fun. Okay, so we are at the end of our show. I guess let's thank our guests for coming in. June Carroll, acclaimed famous playwright June Carroll, that is, and her artistic director, our wonderful acclaimed as well, Armina Lamana. It was a tongue twister for me. Kept saying Armina Lamana, Armina Lamana, Armina Lamana. I kept wanting to say Lamana Armina. I kept wanting to do it the other way. I kept.
Oh, no worries, no worries. Some people also go Armina Lamana, Armina Lamana. Yes,
Armina Lamana.
My crew at the Colony Theater in 2005 did that, and it stuck with me since then.
And don't forget to go out and see The Girl Who Made the Milky Way. Okay, right here at Burbank Colony Theater. That was called Colony.
The Colony Theater.
Colony Theater in Burbank. So do you guys have the address, or you can just Google it?
We do. It is
What is the address?
555. So it's 555 North 3rd Street in Burbank, California. And they share parking garage with the Burbank Mall. So there's free parking and it's absolutely wonderful. So
Okay.
come.
All right, don't forget about me, Osiris _Munir _ the painter on IG, Ankh Entertainment, the word one, the word Ankh and Entertainment all together, .net. And that's our blog and our site, expressinabstract.net. I'll see you next time. Don't forget, be good, be square, and have a wonderful, happy Hallows Eve. Happy Halloween. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. See you.
You are listening to 15 Minutes, the show with Osiris Munir, only on LA Talk Radio.